So I want to introduce you guys to Mason Stoops. He's one of LA's most beloved and hardest working guitar players. So he's got really two disparate things he does on the road right now, Marcus Mumford and Jackson Browne. The thing about Mason is he fits into everything beautifully. He's very sensitive, plays elegant guitar parts, and his pocket is amazing. You and I were talking about how these pedals that have menus and options and apps are very hard to use in the studio, because if you're in the studio, there's no time.
No, it's a completely different environment than your bedroom, that we're all so used to sitting at home and tweaking and really listening to, which is the TS10 as this, but the TS9 is that, and we go down those rabbit holes. But when you're in the studio, it's, we were saying earlier, it's momentum. It's making the artist comfortable, it's making the producer comfortable, and you're all kind of searching for this thing, and there's just really not time to sit and go through a menu and find your, this perfect sound I swear I had last night in my bedroom. I've just learned that I'm not that guitar player. I wish I was, and I know guys who are amazing at that space and that thing. I really prefer just knobs, and I like to interface kind of one-on-one with the pedal, where it's just, if I'm hearing something, I could just turn a knob and there we go. And the fewer knobs, the better. And yeah, I would just rather combine a bunch of pedals with a few knobs than have one pedal that can do everything.
Right. Or my solution with a complicated pedal is to leave it at one setting permanently. If you want to support the channel, there are a number of lessons in the 150-hour masterclass that actually mirror the concepts Mason is using. I found one in particular that I recommend. You can take it for free by taking the 14-day free trial, download the tabs, download the jam track, and simply opt out if it's not right for you. You don't have 30 seconds to get a sound.
You don't have 10 seconds.
You don't have 10 seconds. It's now.
Yeah, we're showing up to kind of provide something that's not there, either an idea or a hook, a space, kind of take the song somewhere it's not currently, and it's about the energy in the room right then and there. And the best parts and the things that I've recorded that I'm most proud of are exclusively things that were like one take, one idea, and that ends up working for whatever reason. I think my board was the size of my car, and I thought that I could just, I've got every sound here, so then I can do everything. But it turns out you don't need every sound. You just need a sound and need to learn how to make that work in the context of a song, and that is way harder, and that's not something you could do at home. That you only get practice for stuff like that in the room with the people, in the moment. So,
and then the other thing is, you can offer something that you think is the greatest thing in the world, and they reject it immediately, so you have to come up with something else.
It's pretty much an unwritten, unspoken rule that whatever great idea you have, we're not doing that. We're doing, just play the simple thing you were doing earlier, and just do that, and you do it, and they're like, great, we're good. That was all we needed.
You've done two pretty big tours lately.
Yeah.
Marcus Mumford and Jackson Browne.
Yeah.
And they're pretty disparate in their era and their age. And what's it like? What are some of the differences between the two camps?
It couldn't be more different in terms of the approach to my role. I mean, both camps, I'm a lead guitar player. Jackson that gig is true traditional guitar playing. That is a loud amp, little to no effects, and really in the moment. And your role with the guitar is to stand out in the mix and to just give people that thing and that sound. Gosh, you think of Lindley and you think of these great guitar players that he's had.
No pressure.
Even now, I'm prepping to go out with Jackson again in June we're doing Australia and Japan and New Zealand for a month. Coming off the Marcus tour, I feel like I'm Christian Bale when he's lost 100 pounds for a role, And then the next role, he's Batman, and he's putting on weight again. Now I've got to get back into this mindset of the lead guitar guy. And because the Marcus gig is a complete contrast in that there are lead parts, and I was playing that fretless baritone. But it's more of texture. Like this whole pedal board that I have here today was built for the Marcus tour, and everything on here is about texture. That album was produced by Blake Mills. My role in the Marcus band is very much more sometimes parts that you almost feel more than you hear, and it's a really interesting space to fill as a lead, technically a lead role, but it was about working with his voice and finding these kind of hidden places to exist with the guitar, whereas Jackson's like, there's nothing hidden about it. It's all up front.
A lot of people don't realize when you're working with an artist, sometimes your role is to literally disappear behind
Truly.
them. A lot of musicians don't get those gigs and can't do those gigs because they don't know how to be part. It's orchestration.
Truly. That's a big part of it too. I've talked to some guitar players about this. I have a volume pedal on all of my boards, and truly the biggest reason is just live mixing, constantly making sure I'm sitting where I want to be in the mix. And the relationship with the volume knob and the guitar, that's tone, that's you and the amp. But a master volume for me is huge for just making sure that I'm constantly and continuously just where I need to be in the mix.
Your pocket is phenomenal. When you sit down and play a rhythm guitar part, it's phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
And that's the other reason you work all the time. Before my era, there was Ray Parker Jr., and Ray has been here. He's a friend of mine. When he plays, you go, that feels so amazing.
Good.
And it doesn't matter what it is. It just feels good.
Yeah.
So he would get called for every record.
That's so cool.
Every time you work with a new artist, it's the first day of school. And until you bond with them, isn't that first 15 minutes or first half hour? It's pretty harrowing, isn't it? In the studio, right?
My first time meeting Jackson, I wasn't sure what we were doing. We had talked about just doing some duo stuff together around town. He brought me in, and I thought it would be like, let's just strum a few songs and just play. First thing he does is like, all right, we're going to go right to the solo on Doctor My Eyes. And I just want you to solo. I just want to hear you solo. And it wasn't once, and it wasn't twice. He had me do it probably 30 or 40 times in a row. Amazing. And there's Greg Lees, and there's Bob Glob. There's these the heroes, of mine. And now it's just solo. Just give us everything you could possibly give us right now. Strangers, like, who you're super intimidated by. Yeah, that was an ass kicker.
I find that happens even if it's somebody who's a new artist. I still want to please them, and I still want to win the day. I always try and do something in the beginning that's going to make everybody's shoulder drop and them go,
yeah,
you hired the right guy.
What do you have a go-to?
If I'm brand new in the room with a new artist and everybody has high expectations, I try and find out what music they love.
Yes, yeah.
And that'll give me a clue. I also ask for help in the room. If I do something and it's not right, I immediately ask for help. Like, what are you hearing?
Can we just listen back to that? I'd love to listen back to it with everyone just really quick. That's my favorite.
Yeah, but it really is, it's psychology, and you really want to make their dreams come true as soon as possible. Once you give them one thing that everybody loves, then they trust you.
Yeah.
And it gets easier and easier. Because that first few minutes is always really hard.
Oh, man, especially if it's a session where you're just coming in for, like, overdubs on, like, one song, and the artist is there. So you only have one song. Doing overdubs is basically coming into, like, all right, impress me. Do something crazy, like, take this song somewhere we're not even hearing. It's learning how to read people and learning how to make people comfortable in a creative environment, which is, it's not easy.
And not every musician can do it. That's why I know that's why you work all the time, because your sensitivity providing just what's exactly needed for a singer and a song. That's the whole ball game. You don't talk about money a lot of the time up front, or it's understood. If it's somebody you know, it's understood what they have or whatever. Usually try and be pretty easygoing up front about it, because you never know how much time it's going to take, and you want to be able to give them a little extra time. If it's not, you're on the clock, but at the same time, you want to be forgiving about the clock.
Yeah, because this is not a rigid line of work.
No.
I like to establish a rate or, like a day rate or something up front beforehand, but I'm always friendly about it. Let them know, I could be flexible if it's something that, I feel like I need to be. You basically have to approach it differently every time.
You're so right about that.
Which isn't to say that like, I'm only looking for the most money in each situation. It's that, I did a gig out of town and the money wasn't maybe as good as other gigs that I've done, but it was with a really, really great artist that I love, with really great friends. I love the music, and it was like a challenging kind of gig that I haven't gotten to do before. You consider all these things, and when the email came in and they talked about pay, it's like I could respond to this, well, actually, but I was excited to work with this artist, and I was excited to, there's people I could see, and it keeps it fun, and so I try not to overthink money too much. I'm getting paid to play music, I'm playing music to get paid.
What I would do with people, if I liked them, I would go, okay, I want to invest in this person because I'd like them to call me every time.
Exactly.
And I knew that in certain situations, eventually I could teach them to pay me more if they had more.
Yeah.
And I found people in our world are completely honest about what they can afford.
Truly.
It's not like other businesses. I mean, if somebody says, I only have this much, if they're a creative person, they only have most that of the time, much most of the time.
Yeah.
But I found if people were not really savvy about what they should pay, if I worked with them a few times, I could go, it really should be this.
Yeah.
And they would go, oh, I see. I guess you're right. But for me, I wanted the relationship. It's like you work with Tony Berg all the time because you guys become family.
Yeah,
right?
Truly.
And I tried to do that too. And a lot of musicians miss that point too.
It's important. I've talked about this before. Trying to be a professional musician, at least for me in LA, isn't about being the guy for everything, but it's about establishing a few great relationships with producers or artists that will continue to call you. So I don't work with every producer, and I don't get called for every gig, but I get called enough and by enough people that it's like I can support myself. And those people and I have, like you said, like Tony and I are family at this point.
Hey guys, a lot of the time YouTube will bring you my videos even though you're not subscribed. If you get the chance, click this subscribe button and ring the bell.